Yes, guys. Hello and welcome back to the Spurs-related YouTube channel and podcast. I hope everyone's doing very well today. Today, we got another transfers update video. And as always, or not, maybe as always, I'm joined alongside Jack of Spurs-related. Jack, it's good to have you back from your garden, live from the garden out there, Burford. How you doing, mate?
Mate, I'm doing well. I saw that subtle little dig there, as I haven't been on the latest transfer roundups, but it's good to be back talking all things Tottenham with James, and maybe not all just things Tottenham, maybe just normal transfer news. So yeah, I'm doing well. I'm looking forward to this one.
Jack, take it as a dig. Don't take it as a dig. Whatever you'd rather do. We're all about the fun here. We're all about the news, and we're all about the stats. And Spurs-related are loving the Spurs-relatables are loving these transfer updates. So big yourselves up. Those who are watching, supporting, smashing the like, please do smash the thumbs up if you want more of these transfer updates daily. And of course, subscribe if you are brand new to the channel. Just hit 1.6k today. Massive, massive shout out to everyone supporting the channel. Jack, let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into things. And the first point on this video is this man, Tapsoba of Bayer Leverkusen. What is the news today, Jack, about this guy?
So, in my opinion, quite big news, really. Fabrizio Romano has come out and said that there are concrete talks taking place with Tapsoba and that the player is very keen on the move. It's also been widely reported that this would be our number one target. He's a right-footed centre-half, but he does predominantly play on the left at Bayer Leverkusen. For me, we've done a bit of research on him before. We spoke about him on the channel, and it seems like he's a very popular choice. And it feels like he could form a really good partnership with Romero. He's very composed on the ball. He plays out from the back. I think he's in the top 95th percentile of ball progressive passing. From the videos I've watched and the research I've done, with the stats backing this up, he likes to come out and drive with the ball. He's not afraid to take a man on. He's quite the risk taker. He plays some fantastic crossfield balls, but as well as keeping it short and playing it into the midfield, where we're hoping to add some firepower this transfer window. All the things right now are saying this guy could be a very good player. Just quickly to add, he's quite tall. I'm not sure how exactly tall. I haven't written this down, but from what I can see, he's a tall player, but he's not exactly aerially dominant. So maybe that's something he can work on. So I wonder how that would work with Romero, because he doesn't win most of his aerial duels, which could be something we need to look more into. But from right now, it seems like it'd be a very positive signing and a step in the right direction.
Yep, good stats, Jack. Good analysis on his sort of tactical play as well. He's 6'3.5", so he is a tall guy. But that does concern me that he's not winning his aerial duels, being 6'3" stroke 6'4". That is, for me, a little bit concerning, don't you think?
Yep. That's what I was going to come on to when I did my stats checks before. I think it was only in the 50th percentile. So realistically, for a 6'3.5" centre half, you'd like to think he'd be a bit more aerially dominant. I know we scored a couple headed goals for Bayer Leverkusen this season and last season, but realistically, you'd think that'd be one of his main threats. But like you say, that doesn't make the complete player there. So we'll have to see, because most of the signs are positive. And right now, we're not going to be able to sign the perfect centre half. We're going to have to sign someone that we're going to develop, because we're not in Europe, because we haven't got as much draw or as much financial power as some of these other clubs have. We're going to have to get a player in who's at a very good level, but has the capability to maybe become world class as well. So I think we just got to be open-minded about this transfer.
Yeah, no, good points, Jack. I don't think we're going to attract many world-class players. I'm still holding out for Laporte. I say it every video. I don't know if he'll be keen on a move to Spurs, considering, he's coming out of a Manchester City team that pretty much win everything. But who knows? Maybe he can be tempted by the Ange project, and maybe he just wants something new. But I'm sure there'll be other top European clubs in for him. But without moving, discussion about Tapsoba, I've just had a little look. 1 goal a season for the last 3 seasons in the Bundesliga. Obviously, we're not expecting him to score goals, but I mean, I'd like to see my centre-back scoring 2 or 3 goals maybe a season, but I'm just trying to be a little bit more critical here. 5 yellow cards, 1 yellow card last season, so he seems pretty disciplined for a centre-back compared to Romero, where we have about 1 in 2 chance of finishing with 10 men.
0.16 yellow cards every 90 minutes, just for a little stat for you guys. So it clearly seems he's a lot more composed and maybe not as rash as Romero, but then that would quite counteract them well because we all love Romero as Spurs fans because he loves a big tackle. His timing is usually fantastic, but when it's not, that's when he gets the yellow cards or red cards. No red cards for Tapsoba. So right now, it seems like it could be quite a positive pairing.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be nice to finish the game with 10 men, not 9. But yeah, absolutely spot on, Jack. Nice discipline stats as well there. Let's move on. Let's see what unveils with Tapsoba in the coming days. Obviously, it was only announced today by Fabrizio Romano that we are interested in the guy, and I don't think a bid's gone in yet, but maybe in the coming days we could see that. Jack, let's move on. Let's
Yeah.
go to our second transfer update, which is this guy, this young man, Xavi Simons, who I believe is around 20 years old, of PSV, had an incredible season last season. I was following this guy quite quite closely. What can you tell us about this transfer update, Jack?
Well, I think if you watch a lot of football and you do a lot of research and you're online a lot, you'll know about this guy. Even since the age of 14, 15, he come through Barcelona's academy and was meant to be the heir to Messi. Everyone's looking at this player as he's their new star boy. He's almost got that superstar image as well with the dreadlocks. I feel like he's just set the world alight. He really is. When you watch him play as well, so technically gifted, I think he'd be a fantastic addition to Tottenham. I just feel like there's so many players when we're saying that we're monitoring his situation. Fabrizio Romano also said, I think Manchester United, Borussia Dortmund, PSG have a 6 million buyback option. There's just so many teams that are going to want to get their hands on this guy. Obviously, never say never, guys. But I feel like we'd be extremely lucky to get a player of this caliber. And would he come straight into the starting 11? Potentially, but I don't know if we could guarantee that as well. And I'm sure a player at his stage of the career, with the potential he has, he's probably more looking at maybe going to a Borussia Dortmund or James, you mentioned Bayern Munich when we were chatting off camera. I
Mhm.
feel like maybe it's a different type of pathway because this guy clearly could go right to the very top, as Harry Redknapp famously said.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think it's interesting that, 19 goals this season, 8 assists in 34 matches in the Eredivisie. That is
Mm.
phenomenal. It's almost a goal or an assist every single game. He's an attacking midfield player. Jack, would you say he's where could he fit in at Spurs in terms of like this new formation in the number 10 role, do you think?
I reckon it's like a progressive 8 as well. I think that being 20 years old with the talent he has, I'm sure he probably is tactically disciplined. Hopefully, I know he's been in the best academies in the world, but he's willing to listen to advice and how to improve as well. So I do feel like he could adapt to that sort of attacking 8 role. I feel like he would complement Basuma and Bentancur fantastically as well. But like I say, so much competition. I don't want to get my hopes up, but definitely could see him scoring a lot of goals in a Tottenham shirt if he was to come in.
Yeah, again, let's track this one in the coming days, but I think you're right. I think he's probably going to end up at a Dortmund or a Bayern Munich or even back at PSG. Let's see. I think he'd be silly to go back to PSG, but for sure, a couple of the German sides would be a good move for him as well. So let's see, and let's move on to the third bit of transfer news, which is,
Oof.
guys, just excuse the absolute job's worth of edit here. Obviously, he does the job. Tonali and Maddison. We need Andre back with the graphics very soon.
Oh, the stats.
Um, but Tonali and Maddison, Jack, do you want to explain why these two have gone onto a slide together?
Yeah, I just thought it was important to maybe spark a different type of talking point. I know we're Spurs related here, but other teams also can come into the fold because it all comes back to Tottenham, just like the world of football works. But today there's been news from David Ornstein that Tonali has potentially, well, AC Milan have accepted a 70 million euro bid for his services, which for me is absolutely absurd. And the
Ridiculous
reason we've
fee.
got Maddison as well on the slide is because how is this going to work? We all know that Tottenham are massive fans of James Maddison. A lot of the fans want to see him in a Spurs shirt, but he's also been highly tipped to move to Newcastle this summer as well. So I just thought it was a good talking point. For me, quickly starting on Tonali, fantastic player. Every time I've watched him for AC Milan, he's so technically gifted, as I've said, the same as Xavi Simons. Plays a slightly different role. But ball playing ability, never really seems to give the ball away and always looks calm and composed. I feel like he's sort of that Andrea Pirlo heir, as some people have said, but I really like him, James, and it's a shame that he's going to be moving to Newcastle. But like you say, with that much money, with their fans at the minute, it just seems like their trajectory is going up and up and up.
Yeah, it looks like they're really splashing the cash now. We knew this was coming. They were a bit reserved in the last window. But look, they're starting to spend 70 million euros on a 23-year-old centre mid who, for me, Tonali's a decent player, but is he worth 70 million euros? I don't think so. Do you, Jack?
Maybe not. Maybe if Tottenham spent 70 million euros on a player of his services right now, I wouldn't say no, because I'd like to spend some money on some established players. But I do think when they've got that much money and they're really trying, they've got a project, and it seems every signing Eddie Howe makes, he knows exactly where they're going to fit, and they really buy into his philosophy. So I think to bring a player of his services, a Milan boy, grew up there his whole life, managed to persuade him to come over to Tyneside, Newcastle. It's a really big signing. It's definitely going to get people talking about it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean Newcastle have that pool now, right? They got the wages, they got an amazing fan base, to be fair to them, and they got Champions League football, which is the biggest attraction for any player, right? I mean, obviously AC Milan are also, I believe, in the Champions League spots, but I mean, yeah, like you said, it's incredible they've managed to lure him in, and fair play to them. But in terms of the quick link to Maddison, Tonali, I would say, is more of a 6 and Maddison is more of a 10. So I know what you're saying here in terms of the funds, but do you think that Newcastle could still get both quite
I
easily?
I would say, in my opinion, from watching Newcastle, I think they're actually going to play Guimaraes slightly deeper and get him to kind of bounce the ball off and get in the pockets of space. But he be the deep line playmaker. They'll probably play Tonali slightly forward, just like they were linked with Barella. And then they'll probably play Maddison if they sign him even forward. So it would work as a free. I think that's a
Mm.
mouth-watering midfield trio. But I do think it's a lot of money to spend on all of them, and you've got to counter in the wages. And would Maddison be excited by the prospect of linking up with Tonali and Guimaraes, or does he want to be kind of that main man in the midfield, which he's probably more likely to get at Tottenham? It's really interesting to talk about, but I think time will tell, James.
Yep, exactly that, Jack. Spot on. And again, as I said for the other two, let's see what happens with this. Let's see the news on Madison in the coming days from Fabrizio Romano, David Ornstein, and the likes of those tier one sources. So hopefully some positive news for Tottenham links. I think it's more positive today, but again, it's interest FC, isn't it? Until we start putting bids down, then I'm still a little bit subdued, to be fair. But let's see what happens. And the final transfer update today relates to our goalkeepers. We mentioned yesterday what's happened. Has Raya hit a stall? Tottenham don't want to bid the 40 million, which Brentford are asking for. They think it's too much. And so now, Jack, it seems like we're looking at other options as well.
Mm. I think for me, this is more of a ploy to get Brentford to lower their asking price. There's a lot of
Yeah.
conflicting views. In my opinion, I'm actually going to say I don't think we should spend 40 million on Raya. He might be our right signing, but we're not Chelsea Football Club. We're not the type of football team we're an organic club that likes to spend money, but at the same time don't splash loads of cash when it's not necessary. We need to try
Mm.
and get Brentford to lower their price tag. There's a year left on his deal. He's a fantastic keeper. But £40 million to spend all of that on one keeper when there are suitable alternatives, I think it'd be silly. So
But
I think, go on, James, go for it.
Jack, I was just going to say, it might be worth just quickly mentioning these two guys' names that we're linked with. But I believe this guy here, what's it? How do you pronounce it?
It is Mamardashvili, I think.
Mamardashvili of Valencia, apparently very good goalkeeper, but apparently they're going to want 30-40 million for this guy as well. So, you know, these keepers aren't coming cheap, especially the ones that are younger. I believe this guy is 23. Is that right?
23, I think, and maybe the other one's 22. They're young goalkeepers with clearly a high ceiling.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. And what's just quickly, what's the update on this one? Have we, what are the two players and how interested are we? Do you think?
So just before we actually recorded this video, James, Fabrizio Romano tweeted saying we're just looking at alternative options like Mamardashvili and Vicario, the Italian goalkeeper who's impressed a lot this season in the Serie A. That's why we're looking at his services. It seems like for me, we like both of them, but Raya is still our first choice. And I think DiMarzio reported that we still would really like Raya, and it's mainly about trying to drive that price tag down. But there's clearly real interest. I've seen a lot of Tottenham fans quite keen on, I think, signing Mamardashvili. Quite a strong presence. I think he's 6'6" as well,
Wow.
but also very agile. good ball playing ability, someone who's willing to learn. And at 23 years old, you're talking a player you can have for maybe a decade or more, just like Hugo Lloris. So maybe people like the idea of that as well, as Ray is 27. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's really interesting, this one. I'm sure we'll get more news in the coming days.
Yeah, for sure, Jack. I think you summarized that really well. But I would say Raya, 27, that's also not old for a goalkeeper, you know. That's 7, 8 years in prime. So let's see what happens. Let's
Yeah,
see who comes to the forefront. And if Brentford do lower their asking price and we do go and get a successful bid of, say, 34, 35 million for Raya, I hope so. I'd rather have Raya, I think, but
I
let's
can see
see
it
what
happen.
happens.
I think if I was having a prediction, I think we'll end up signing Raya for about 30 million with a couple, maybe 27 million with a few add-ons. I can just see that materialising because I think Brentford are going to have to. No one's going to pay
Cheers.
the money, 40 million. So I think they're going to have to like come to the conclusion that Tottenham, that they're not going to be able to get the money they want.
Absolutely. Well, that was pretty good. 15 minutes, summarized 4 transfer updates for you guys. If you did enjoy that video and great summaries from Jack today, I thought his stats were incredible. Smash a thumbs up on the video. Please, please, please subscribe if you're new. That is, I looked at some stats the other day, like 80% of you are watching and you're not subscribed. So if you could subscribe, it would make our days and it would mean the world. So please, please do support the Spurs Relatables and grow the Spurs Relatables following. And yeah, that's about everything. Thanks a lot, Jack. And yeah, we will see you for another transfer update and another video tomorrow. Do take care, guys. And as always, remember, come on, you Spurs!